Khorne here, and today I will be sharing with you why I believe the Vampire Coast is the most poorly designed race in the game. The answer to that is because the faction lacks an identity. It can't decide whether it wants to be an empire builder or a unique semi-horde faction like the Beastmen. Now, the Vampire Coast is a faction I would very much like to have fun with. But whenever I play them and want to roleplay as a pirate and roam the world sacking settlements, I just find myself expanding an empire instead. On the one hand, you get the very same faction mechanics as the vampire counts with the raised dead, but their economy is rather poor for you to be able to constantly recruit new units on the go. Sacking and raising settlements can grant you a lot of income, but you are still required to expand your empire to do well in terms of your economy. So it can be fairly difficult to find a balance between conquest and devastation. This can be quite the unenjoyable process. You're incentivized to expand your empire with the fact that your right to gain money requires you to have a money income building built in province capitals. Fleet captains require a tier 5 port for you to increase their capacity, and port settlements increase your income from ports faction-wide. Meanwhile, Mongol hunters and gunnery whites require you to establish pirate coves to increase their capacity, and guess where? In port settlement. So you get to choose whether you want to increase the capacity of 2 of your hero types, or have a good economy and increase the capacity of 1 of your hero types. And you also can't establish pirate coves next to your settlements, as it will just see the AI recruit armies to attack you with. So you have to explore the world and put pirate coves far away. But this isn't a very viable option on higher difficulties, as your settlements aren't very defensible, and you will constantly be attacked by the AI. Very few factions will actually like you and wants treaties with you, so war declarations are abound, and you constantly have to defend your territory. The map system where you go out looking for treasures sounds cool, but it is often not worth it, simply by the fact that you have a limited amount of heroes, and the fact that those heroes cost upkeep. By the time you reach the map destination, you will have expended more income on the heroes' upkeep than you will gain by collecting the treasure. And the limited number of heroes are better in your armies rather than outside of them. If you're enjoying the video thus far, please consider subscribing for future content. Now back to the video. The Vampire Coast units are also quite peculiar, to say the very least. Most of their units seem too expensive for what they offer, while others are surprisingly strong. There isn't a situation like with the Vampire Counts, where you can just boost your basic units to ridiculous levels and make them amazing, nor are their basic units particularly cheap. Well, I wouldn't say the Vampire Coast needs spammable units. They do need either an economic boost or improved unit performance. Currently, most units have low health and can be quite fragile. These units can perform well, especially considering their high damage output, but they just don't feel enjoyable to use. Their armies can be quite frustrating, as everything moves slowly. In contrast, dwarves have highly armored units, making them more durable and better suited to a slow-paced style. For the Vampire Coast, it just doesn't feel right. Gaining regiments of renown is also quite frustrating, as you have to set sail and defeat other pirate factions. While this may sound fun, you have to realize that you will usually do this with your legendary lord, because most armies will simply not be up to the task. To hunt down these pirates, you often have to abandon your conquest. This might be acceptable if you were playing a race with easily defensible settlements and no upkeep cost for your units, but that's not the case with the Vampire Coast. Unless pirate factions come to you, there isn't much point in chasing them down. The only thing that works for the Vampire Coast is their theme of being, well, vampire pirates. However, the actual gameplay side of them is quite lacking from my experience. This is a faction I disliked playing even in Warhammer 2, and I still don't enjoy playing them, even after minor adjustments to their economy. Unlike how I now enjoy playing Noska after their minor adjustments. I honestly believe they should be more like the Warriors of Chaos. There should be a mechanic similar to the Black Fortresses, but only for coastal settlements, which should all be fairly defensible and have a thriving economy. You shouldn't have supply lines, allowing you to field more armies. You should also, like the Warriors of Chaos, be able to only occupy other settlements at tier 1, where resource buildings would provide global bonuses. Pirate coves are somewhat uninteresting, and the fact you have to let your enemy keep their settlement is rather unappealing, to say the very least. Skaven undersitters are not an essential mechanic and can be overlooked, but pirate coves are essential, and their current implementation is quite unenjoyable for me. I would much prefer if your hero's capacity was upgraded normally through settlement buildings, or even using the infamy system, similar to how the Beastmen or Tomb Kings can increase their hero's capacity. Instead, pirate coves could function similarly to the Changelings cults, serving as a recruitment hub for units. They should also have an option to stop the AI from recruiting lords and units in that region. And rather than having randomly generated loot maps across the map, perhaps there could be a point of interest right at the beginning of the campaign. Similar to how Noska has unique technologies based on which race's capital they occupy. However, in this case, you just have to sack the settlement or something similar. Maybe with changes like these, you could finally be free to explore the seas and have a more thematic campaign without it feeling forced. Well, these are all my thoughts on the Vampire Pirates. Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and until next time.